The following program is sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.
Welcome to Building Wisconsin. Great to see you again, Jim. Thanks for coming on today's show, and from what I understand, we have a great project to take a look at. But before we get inside and see what the tile setters are doing, tell us where we're at and what it's all about.
Yeah, Stu, we're at the Church of Jesus here on the Marquette campus in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Looking at a great view of the church and renovation project and that's going on here. And you'll see the part of our tile setters doing the work inside.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's a massive undertaking. It's been going on for over a year now, or close to a year now. And what I like about it and why it's perfect for Building Wisconsin is it gets to showcase how if you work for the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers, you get to work on restoring really historic buildings and important buildings in our communities throughout the state. And I know in a couple past shows, the Bricklayers are doing exterior work here in Milwaukee and in Madison.
Right, we had two projects, the Germania building in downtown Milwaukee, a great renovation project to restore that historic value. And then we also had the Waterworks buildings in Madison, highlighting some of our crafts.
Well, and to me, it seems that your trade is really, you're in charge of preservation. You're preservationists. That's the way I would look at it. Because if we don't restore and maintain our historic buildings, we lose our history.
Exactly. You got to preserve that history from generation to generation.
And with so many old buildings around our state, are you guys keeping busy?
Yeah, work is pretty robust around Wisconsin in all our crafts, so we're actively looking for apprentices and journey workers to do our craft.
So if you're a hardworking individual, check it out, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Well, thanks for coming on, giving us a quick introduction to today's show. I'm going to head in and learn what the tile setters are doing.
All right, thanks, Stu.
Thanks for catching up with us, Peter. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at this spectacular church.
I am thrilled to show you the Church of Jesus. This is a historic building here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. CG Schmidt's been thrilled to be part of this project since the beginning. We're here helping them coordinate and manage the construction of the renovation of the ceiling, the painting, lighting, security cameras, as well as ceramic floor.
So it's a pretty big project.
It's a really big project, and it impacts a lot of people. It touches a lot of people here in the community, as well as in the Marquette University utilizes it.
As I mentioned, it's a large historic building right here on the Marquette campus in Milwaukee. How old is this church?
Over 130 years old.
Wow, has it ever been remodeled before?
Yeah, we understand that it's been remodeled a number of times, and it was time. Had some cracks in the plaster, needed a fresh coat of paint. The design team really focused on historic renovation to bring it back to what the original intent of the design was.
You know, when we do shows with Building Wisconsin, we get to meet with the tradespeople, and there always seems to be a lot of passion with the different members working on a project like this. Do you notice that?
Absolutely. We have a really great communication during our safety stand downs with our client, the parish, as well as the design team. So we can really focus on everyone having that buy-in. So everybody has ownership to the work that they're placing, and then we all feel an ownership to the parish itself, to the building.
And along with that ownership comes a sense of pride. I mean, I just talked to a few of the guys and they go, yeah, I can't wait until it's all done. You know,
Absolutely.
5, 10, 20 years from now, I'm going to be able to walk through and say, yeah, I laid that tile. And, you know, with all the different trades that are involved in a project of this magnitude, how important are the trades to CG Schmidt, specifically the tile setters on a project like this?
I was absolutely thrilled when I found out that we were getting the contractor that we got. I've worked with them now for over 15 years, and we got probably the best of their tile setters here. We appreciate their involvement. Without them, we don't have the floor. The floor is the one part that every person touches when they come in the building. It's also the final finishing touch over top of all the structure. It's critical because it's the one part that every bride's dress will drag down and every funeral procession is going to be walking on. So a lot of people are going to bring their children here to be baptized. A lot of people are going to be here celebrating life and celebrating marriage. And I love that we're part of that, and that their tile setters and all of our other trade partners could be part of actually setting in those finishes.
Sure, and a lot of people, me included, don't realize how important it is. When you see it without the pews here, it looks like a big auditorium, lots of open space. But once the project is completed and the pews are in place, it's up to the tile to lead you where you need to go.
Absolutely, and a lot of layout went into this. I worked very closely with the tile setters to establish a center, because this building was built prior to lasers, GPSs, and this building isn't exactly perfectly square. Our tile comes engineered perfectly square, so when able to keep those visual straight lines, a lot of math has to be done and a lot of layout. We're working with a very experienced team, and they have done large auditoriums with historic out of square buildings. So we've got the best team we could have, and it shows.
Well, we really want to thank you and the church for allowing Building Wisconsin to come in here and follow along with this amazing project. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Oh, Mike, this is an impressive commercial building here in Wisconsin. And by the looks of things, your tile setters are hard at work today. What are they up to?
So they're laying some marble over here, they're doing some setting or mud bed over there, and then we have some tile setters inside the bathroom doing some work.
Oh, that's awesome. So we have a lot to see how these highly skilled professionals, what they do on a daily basis. And you know, when I look at this, the floor is beautiful, but I look up at that wall and it looks like artwork. And when I think of commercial structures, I really feel that a lot of people take them for granted. I mean, the beautiful marble really accents it. It probably provides incredible longevity, but at the end of the day, it's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, so that's all artwork. So that is actually laid out in Italy. They actually number it all, and then they ship it over. So that got looked at by the designer, the owner, the contractor, got laid out so that all the veining follows. Then they crate it up and then they ship it over, and it's like a puzzle. The guys have to put it back together.
So if I were in a quarry, a marble quarry in Italy, that's really what I would be looking at. They carefully take it out, number each piece. I mean, it's really a grid, it's a puzzle, right?
Yep, and then the same thing on the floor. These are all numbered.
And those have to be shipped over here, and then they arrive in pallets?
Pallets, and they're all numbered inside the pallets. So if you look later, their floor is actually numbered where pieces go.
Okay, so let's get into it. I'm curious how this is all installed and how these guys learn about doing this correctly. Over here I see them in action, and it looks like an area that they're just prepping. So can we go take a look?
Absolutely.
So how do your tile setters begin a massive project like this?
So you got your layout. I mean, everything is figured out on a blueprint. So they're following a blueprint. So they have their heights and everything. So they set all their heights so that they know how high the marble's supposed to be.
And how important is the base?
So we're doing a cleavage membrane. So this plastic acts as a cleavage. So it's like a slip. So we're not going to bond to the concrete that's down. So that's what we call a cleavage membrane. And this is 2-inch by 2-inch galvanized wire. So this is going to help hold our setting bed or our med bed. So we do this at our training center. The apprentices learn how to do this. We start this in their second year of apprenticeship, and then they learn to do this to build it up. So the mud that's going to go on top of this has to be at least 1.25 inches thick, up to almost 3 inches you could get it.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, there's concrete underneath here. Does it have to be fresh concrete?
It doesn't have to be fresh concrete, but it was new concrete for this job.
Okay, and then you said that the mud, and that's essentially analogous to concrete, but it's different, right? It's a specific type of base.
Yep, so it's 4 parts sand, 1 part cement, Portland, so there's no aggregate in there. You can get it much flatter, much straighter, and then it's much more consistent. And then we don't make it quite as wet, so our mud isn't going to curl like concrete likes to curl.
Is that what they mean by like dry packing? It's just...
Yep, that's dry pack, so that's another term for it.
And then I've seen different thicknesses. Is the size of this mesh important?
Yeah, so this is actually 2 inch by 2 inch, and it's galvanized. So the diameter is a lot smaller than the concrete, but this is actually meant for point load. So this is supposed to hold that mud together.
Okay.
So,
and at the end of the day, is it fair to say that your end result is only as good as the base that it's being built on?
yeah, absolutely. Most failures are not the tile. It's either the base, the underlayment, the substrate, or you didn't get enough coverage on your tile. That's why your tile failed. So Stu, over here, we got the guys actually doing the marble around the railings. So this was actually a challenge because these have to go all the way down to the original concrete. Because like I was saying, that the setting bed is a cleavage membrane, so you can't bolt these to that because that would move. So this has to go down to the original concrete.
And the challenge here is you have to cut a hole in order to just carefully drop it down in or set it down in.
Yep, set it down over that. So.
And so that has to be challenging. I mean, not to crack the marble, but to go ahead and get it perfectly, not only the dimensions of this itself, but where it sits in here, 4 inches up this way, 3.7 inches that way.
Yep, so it takes a little bit of measuring, a little bit of math, and then they use some things they call grabos to kind of give them a good handle on it, and then work it down.
Now, this is a ramp going up. Does that present any challenges as well?
So yeah, so you got your mud bed is all put in as flat and as level as they can get it. But then when you're going to put your spacers in so that those marble tiles don't want to slide down.
He's really working that in there because you want it to be, you get one shot, right? To make it perfectly level across there?
Yep, so once he gets that where he thinks that it'll be nice and level, where there's no lippage, then he'll put his spacer in and then work on the next one.
And you mentioned the word spacer. I see those down here, the purple, the red. Are those only used on ramp settings or are they used throughout?
So some contractors will use them in the floors. On this, it's on an incline, so it's going to want to slide down. So that's where it's going to be really important to use these.
Okay, I remember that back at that church that we were at. They were using it
on that same kind of ramp. So they were using a different kind of spacer.
Okay, well, this is a great example of your members in action setting the marble tile, but as I understand it, there's also porcelain tile being used here.
Yeah, we have another contractor working on the bathrooms doing some porcelain tile.
Can we go take a look at it?
Yeah, let's head up to the 9th floor. Hey Stu, before we head up to the 9th floor, I figure we can stop by here and look at some vertically installed marble.
Well, from a distance, when I was looking over your shoulder earlier, I saw these guys were working this a long time. Like, they really had to take their time. It looked like they were shimming it.
Yeah, they're shimming that rail so that everything is all level and plumb. You can see the line, and then they'll actually have levels, and then they have other lines to make sure that they're plumb.
Oh, and I just saw them place some spacers in there, and so that's what it's going to rest on?
So yeah, so they're going to dry lay it in there, check to make sure that it's flat and level, and then adjust that rail as needed.
And so obviously it takes many times dry fitting it, getting it just perfect, but once it's installed, then another allied trade, your caulkers, come in and finish it?
Yep, they're going to come in and caulk all the joints.
And you can see up there looking at it, they're taking it out again after dry fitting, going to have to shim it again, because a project like this, it has to be done perfectly.
It has to be done perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to see that in and out, that shadowing. So the client definitely wants it as flat and as perfect as they can get it. So up here, Stu, we have Josh is installing some porcelain tile. He's doing it on the wall, so it's on the floor, the walls of all the bathrooms. Every level has these set of bathrooms.
Boy, I like seeing this being installed. It's pretty cool, and it really dresses up any structure, not just a commercial structure. And I like all the different color patterns that are on there.
And it's all picked out, so they have this color pattern. They have that metal strip running through it. So, and then they have it all set up. Every bathroom is all going to be the same as you go up the tower.
Okay, and so there is some repetition, which has to help the installers so they have familiarity every bathroom they go into.
Yeah, they kind of know what's going on and they can tell if something's off. So when they come in, if something's off, they can let the electrician or the carpenter, whoever, whatever trade it is, let them know that something is off.
And even though to the naked eye this might seem a little easier than the marble, it's still very intensive, right? I mean, you're not talking, oh, it's within a quarter inch. No, we want it we want it to be perfect, right?
Yeah, they want it to be perfect. So that's actually what the leveling clips are going to help him with. And actually, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually a green laser line that he's trying to make sure he hits the right level.
And so there's different tools. And again, throughout this segment we've been talking about, this is all stuff they learn throughout their apprenticeship. So they're ready to go get on site. They have a good idea of what to expect. And I gotta believe when they're getting on-the-job experience throughout their apprenticeship, when they come back, they can ask instructors who have experience doing this, hey Mike, how do you do this? We're using 12-inch by 18-inch tiles or 2-foot tiles.
Yeah, actually it happens. I had a journeyman, no kidding, just the other day asked me, he's doing some stairs and was asking me some questions about stair specifics and specifications.
Throughout today's show, we've been seeing a lot of your tile setters in action. Is there still a large calling throughout our state for tile setters? I mean, does the future look bright? Are you trying to recruit people?
Yeah, so we're trying to recruit people. Josh is at the younger end, but Doug is kind of at the older end. We were just talking, so he's probably got a few more years till he's ready to retire. Good for him, but we're going to need somebody to take his spot and then keep it going.
And again, it's a bright future here. There's lots of opportunity. And if you like to be an artist in a trade, to me, tile setting's where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a visual, it's a finished trade. I think it's kind of nice to see what you've done when you're all finished.
Well, Jim, this has been an awesome show, seeing your tile setter members in action at those really cool projects. That historic church, I just love to walk through that. And that commercial project with all that Italian tile, it was just blew my mind. And to me, it seems like this is where the pros go. With the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers of Wisconsin, if you want to be the best, you want to come here and get trained.
Right, Stu? The Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers have been doing it for 160 years, doing commercial projects like that, restoration projects like that. That's where we really shine.
And boy, if I'm an owner, I'm a general contractor, that's who I want doing the work, because a lot of times you get one chance, especially with that natural tile that they get out of the quarries, you get one chance to do it right.
Oh, exactly. You want to be precise and right to the point.
Well, earlier in today's show, you said there's a lot of work out there for your particular crafts and your trades in our state. Can you share some advice for someone looking to maybe start a career with the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers here in Wisconsin?
Sure, Stu. First thing you want to do is probably go to our website, get some information. We have field reps across the state. You'll be contacted by one of them to help you guide through that information and get some test scores, get your high school diploma or GED equivalent, and then go from there, and they'll guide you to get to the right spot.
Sure. Well, it's been awesome catching up with you. Hope to see you again on Building Wisconsin. Right now, I want to catch up with Mike to learn more about the training the tile setters receive.
Thanks, Stu.
Well, Mike, looks like there's lots of activity back here in the training center. And are these all apprentices learning their trade?
Yeah, actually we have 8 apprentices and then 1 experienced person. He's coming and doing a little extra classes, and then 2 instructors are here.
Okay, and so before we get into the specifics, can you give us an overview of what's going on here?
Yeah, so we have a little bit of floor mud being done, dry pack, that was being done on that commercial job. We saw the finished product, so they're learning how to do it here. Have some tile setting in some larger projects, have somebody doing a shower, and then we have another person doing some stairs.
I can't wait to get into that, but just a quick question. If I want to join the Bricklayers, Allied Craftworkers, I want to become a tile setter, but I have no experience at all. is it still okay to apply and hopefully get brought on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our members actually come in that way. They'll come in as a pre-apprentice, you'll be a union member, you'll be working in the field, you'll be learning some of the basics. You'll be learning how to cut tile, how to mix mortar, how to grout, how to caulk, and then doing that for 6 months to a year, then you would get placed into our apprenticeship program. So we have several of those people that have done that as well today.
That is awesome. Now conversely, what happens if I've been working, say I'm working non-union, I have a lot of experience, I want to join, become part of your team. Is that possible?
Absolutely. You would get a hold of me, have you come in, do what I call an evaluation, do a little tile setting for me, a little written test, and then I can kind of slot you in. So maybe you would be a first-year apprentice all the way up to a journeyman.
Really?
So when I have one of those gentlemen is here, he needed some more work with mud work, so he's here learning how to do that.
And what a great example of how the doors are always open. The training never stops, and he wanted to hone his skills, and I bet that makes his employer happy. Okay, well, let's take a quick tour here and learn year 1, year 2, and year 3, what they're learning.
All right, let's go. So Stu, we have our first year apprentices. They're working and just starting to learn how to do some dry pack and some mud. You can see Sebastian is working on doing his screed with that dry pack. And then once he gets his 2 screeds set, then he's actually going to start pulling the middle. So then if we go to the next mock-up, you have the 2 screeds are already set, and then this apprentice has started to pull their mock-up.
And this is real world action going on here. I mean, this is what it looks like out at a restoration, a commercial project, wherever they're working. They have to learn and know how to make the mud or the dry pack and level it all off.
Yep, so they got to make it level, and then like we're saying, in showers and stuff, you can manipulate it, you can pitch it, you know, you can do whatever you want with it. So, and this is a great substrate for tile.
And what else are they learning in year 1?
So they're learning how to set tile, how to do their basic layout. They're doing all those things and getting better. But so you're going to learn how to do mud in year 1, year 2, and then year 3. So they're getting the basics of mud. So then over here, Stu, we have one of our second year apprentices. He's working on a larger mock-up, working on more layout. So he got his plan of what his mock-up was supposed to look. So if you notice that his floor lines up with his walls, he got his decorative border right in the center. And then he had his plan and he had to step the joints up. So it's a 3rd offset, and you can notice that it's graduating up to the center both ways.
I love seeing these guys in action. I mean, to me, I think back to the projects we saw earlier in the show, and we had some sloped floors. Again, gravity pulling it down. You needed to know how to work with that.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a vertical application. You know, you probably don't realize, I mean, this is tile. These are pieces. They have to be stuck, adhered to the wall, but also gravity wants to pull it down, not just falling off down. So you really have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, he's actually using spacers, so he's kind of pegging it up so it doesn't slide down right away. And then once that thin set sets up, then it's going to be just like concrete underneath.
And you know, one thing you mentioned was he is working off a plan. And that's something I noticed in the curriculum when I reviewed it, is that in year 2, it seems like a lot of time is spent reading blueprints, understanding architectural drawings, because when you get out on site, there's nobody telling you like, hey, here's how you do it. I mean, you have to know, you have to be able to read the plan. You don't want to be running back to a foreman and asking them what to do.
Right, so basically you would be the foreman on the job, so you'd be the one reading the plan, and there could be a couple people reading it. So just like at that church we were at, that was already drawn out for them. They had to bring that plan to life. So that was already set, the aisle that we saw, the layout on the outside. So all that was already figured out. They just had to take that plan, those blueprints, and bring them to life.
Okay, anything else that we're not seeing here that year 2s are working on?
Oh, year 2s are going to do shower pans. They're going to learn how to use that dry pack. They're going to pitch it. They're going to learn waterproofing. They're going to learn a ton of more stuff. So through your apprenticeship, I want them to learn just about everything that they're going to see on the job. And here, Stu, you're going to enter into our 3rd year room. This is basically, they have to finish every mock-up in this room.
Wow, a lot of different vignettes here, and this is more challenging projects for them?
Oh yeah, layout gets more complicated, more intricate. So they have to learn how to do a countertop, a backsplash. You have to get your sink in. Then you have to learn how to do a fireplace. You have stairs, so we make them float the stairs to get them within spec. And then over here, you have your soaking tub, so they have to use that same dry pack, build that up so that the tile can slide underneath, and then they have to do a feature wall.
And it seems to be more intricate designs, a little more challenging projects. And again, the ultimate goal here is to show them real world examples here where they can learn and be prepared when they get out.
Absolutely. So we want them to kind of touch and do just about everything that they're going to see in the field.
Now, when you talk about a stair, I mean, what all does a tile setter have to do? Are they responsible for putting the mud down here, or are there some projects that you do, some you don't?
Some are already concreted, so we'll have to do it or maybe fix them a little bit, fine tune them, doing some little prep work, but these are actually floated with that same dry pack. So Henry here had to actually float them, so all the rises are the same, because you're only allowed 3/16 from landing to landing.
And what you're talking about is these risers coming up, right?
Yep. So basically, when you're walking upstairs, if you ever had one that you trip on, that rise might be off a little bit. So that's what they're trying to eliminate.
And again, it's up to Henry in this case, or any tile setter, to make sure it's done per the design and per specs, right?
Yes.
And then there's all these different patterns that are in here. Seems to me a lot of being a tile setter is problem solving.
So you're going to be the problem solver. You're going to be the one that's in charge of your little area. You'll get your blueprint, your layout, you know, what your foreman or the blueprint tells you to do, and then you have to build it and to make it come to life.
Well, I noticed that out at that commercial building we were at, there seemed to be 4 or 5 or 6 groups of 3 tile setters or 2 tile setters, like little mini teams there. And I assume whoever the leader is, the journey worker in that group of 3, they're the foreman. They're in charge. They're calling the shot.
Yeah, so they're basically doing the layout, setting it up, saying what's got to get done in that room. But then sometimes you might even be the apprentice in charge of grouting an area. So you might be in charge of your little area as well.
Oh, wow. It actually is a pretty exciting career. I mean, all the different stuff you get to work on. But in order to have that career, I read in the curriculum, you have to pass some tests. I mean, there's what, 2 or 3 tests that you have to pass before you can become a journey worker.
Yeah, so there's 2 practical tests. So you have your shower that you got to do. You got to prep it. You have to float your curb, then tile it. It all gets graded. Then you have a tub surround you have to do, and then there's a 25 square foot floor that you have to do. And then we have a written test as well, and you got to pass all 3 of those.
Is there a time limit when you're doing these different vignettes?
Oh yes, there's a time limit. So it gets timed, and actually you get more points or more credit if you get it done quicker.
Oh my gosh, and again, if you don't pass, you have to go do it again?
You have to do it again, yes. So it has to be done.
Holy cow. Well, this has been an awesome learning experience for me. I love this show. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Hope to see you again on Building Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.